In the vast expanse of West Texas, where the dry wind kicks up red dust across endless fields and the sunset paints the horizon in shades of gold and orange, Henry Caldwell walks the porch of his weathered wooden home. The 52-year-old rancher, with calloused hands and blue eyes faded by the relentless sun, watches his hands returning from another grueling day's work. The scent of cattle and dry earth fills the air as he removes his leather hat, revealing sweaty grey hair. For 3 weeks ever since Martha, his trusted cook of 15 years, left to care for her ailing mother in Dallas, the ranch hasn't been the same. Improvised meals of canned beans and stale bread have left the crew disheartened, and Henry feels the weight of responsibility on his broad shoulders. The silence of the empty kitchen echoes through the house like a constant reminder that some voids are impossible to fill alone. The faded blue Ford pickup truck kicks up a cloud of dust as it approaches the main entrance of the Triple Bar Ranch, where a wooden sign sways gently in the Texas wind. Eleanor Martinez, a 38-year-old woman with brown hair pulled back in a simple bun, grips the steering wheel firmly with small but determined hands. Her dark eyes reflect a mix of accumulated weariness and quiet resolve as she watches the property stretch as far as the eye can see. On the passenger seat, a worn leather suitcase and a box of kitchen utensils represent all she possesses after leaving Amarillo in search of a new beginning. The truck's engine sputters before dying completely, forcing her to park near the main barn. Eleanor takes a deep breath, feeling the dry air fill her lungs, and walks towards the main house, where the yellow light from the porch promises, perhaps, a chance for a fresh start in that vast Texas wilderness. Henry looks up from the local newspaper when he hears firm footsteps on the wooden porch, which creaks under the weight of each stride. The woman who appears before him has an upright and reserved posture, wearing a simple white blouse and faded jeans, with leather boots that have seen many miles of road. "Mr. Caldwell, I'm here about the cook position," Eleanor says in a soft but firm voice, extending a small hand whose grip surprises him with its firmness. Henry invites her in, noticing how she observes every detail of the house with keen eyes. The family photographs on the wall, the oak table where generations of Caldwells had their meals, the cast-iron stove that Martha had mastered so expertly. During their brief conversation, Eleanor speaks only what is necessary, answering questions with an economic precision of words. When Henry mentions that the position requires cooking for 15 hungry men 3 times a day, she simply nods, as if to say she has faced greater challenges. There is something in her silence that intrigues the rancher. It is not shyness, but a quietude that carries weight and experience. Eleanor's first morning on the ranch dawns with the crow of roosters and the distant lowing of cattle. By 5 a.m., as she is already in the spacious kitchen, familiarizing herself with every pot, every spice Martha left behind, the strong coffee she brews awakens the first hands, who come downstairs with skepticism etched on their tired faces. Jake Morrison, the grey-haired foreman with a thick mustache, is the first to taste the coffee and raises his eyebrows, surprised by its robust and balanced flavor. For breakfast, Eleanor prepares creamy scrambled eggs, crispy bacon, and warm melt-in-your-mouth biscuits, serving each dish with precise, silent movements. The men, accustomed to Martha's morning chats about the weather and town gossip, initially feel uncomfortable with Eleanor's silence. However, as they savor the best meal they've had in weeks, they begin to exchange glances of approval. The murmur of satisfaction that echoes through the dining room is Eleanor's first silent victory at the Triple Bar Ranch. Tommy Rodriguez and Pete Sullivan, 2 cowboys known for testing every newcomer to the ranch, decide to provoke the new cook during dinner. Tommy, a young man in his 20s with a mischievous grin, starts by making comments about the food being different, while Pete, older and more experienced at causing trouble, loudly questions if she really knows how to cook for real men. Eleanor continues serving the beef stew with potatoes, completely ignoring the provocations, as her expression remains serene and focused. When Tommy pushes his plate away and declares he's not hungry, Eleanor simply clears the dish without showing any emotional reaction. Henry, observing the scene from the head of the table, feels a mix of anger at the disrespectful hands and admiration for Eleanor's unwavering composure. The silence that follows is broken only by the clatter of silverware against plates, as the rest of the crew continues eating, clearly embarrassed by their colleagues' behavior. In that moment, Henry realizes that Eleanor isn't just resilient, she possesses a dignity that cannot be broken by cheap taunts. 3 weeks later, during a dinner lit by kerosene lamps swaying gently in the night breeze, Henry watches Eleanor serve authentic Texas chili, accompanied by golden cornbread and fresh butter. The rich, spicy aroma fills the dining room, bringing genuine smiles to the cowboys' tired faces. Even Tommy and Pete, who had abandoned their provocations after realizing she wouldn't react, eat with visible appetite. Henry takes a spoonful of the chili and closes his eyes, savoring the perfect combination of spices that warms his chest and awakens childhood memories on the ranch. Rising from his chair, he taps his fork against his water glass, drawing everyone's attention. "Eleanor will be with us for as long as she wishes," he announces in a firm voice, looking directly into the eyes of each employee. "I've learned that some people speak louder through what they do than what they say, and she's said everything she needed to through every meal she served us." Eleanor, standing near the stove with a dish towel in her hands, allows a small smile to touch her lips, the first anyone has witnessed since her arrival. The dawn of the next day brings a different atmosphere to the Triple Bar Ranch. Eleanor wakes before the first ray of sun penetrates the windows of the small bunkhouse where Henry had insisted she have her own room. The morning air of Texas carries the fresh scent of dew mixed with dry earth as she walks through the kitchen, preparing coffee with the same silent precision as always. Jake Morrison is the first to arrive as usual, but this time he carries a different expression, no longer skepticism, but genuine respect. "Good morning, Eleanor," he says, taking off his hat as he enters the kitchen. She responds with a gentle nod and serves him a steaming cup of coffee. Gradually, the other hands arrive, and for the first time in weeks, there is a sense of harmony in the air. Tommy Rodriguez, who once provoked Eleanor, now pulls out a chair for her to sit during breakfast, a small but significant gesture that marks a change in attitude on the ranch. The weeks that follow reveal a gradual but profound transformation in the ranch's dynamic. Eleanor establishes a precise routine: wake at 5, prepare coffee at 5:30, serve breakfast at 6:30, lunch at noon, and dinner at 7 in the evening. Her silent efficiency becomes legendary among the hands, who begin to adjust their own schedules to match her rhythm. Henry observes how productivity increases when the men know they will have consistent and delicious meals waiting for them. On weekends, Eleanor experiments with traditional Southwestern recipes, surprising everyone with roast beef tacos, homemade tamales, and desserts like pecan pie that melt in your mouth. Pete Sullivan, who used to be the most resistant to change, now openly praises her culinary skills. The kitchen, once an empty and melancholic space, has transformed into the pulsating heart of the ranch, where Eleanor's silence speaks louder than any words could express. During a particularly hot July afternoon, when the thermometer reads 104 degrees in the shade and the cattle seek refuge under the few trees scattered across the pasture, Eleanor takes an initiative that surprises everyone. Without being asked, she prepares pitchers of iced tea with lemon and fresh mint, carrying them in a pickup truck to where the cowboys are working under the scorching sun. The sight of that reserved woman driving alone through the fields, her hair dancing in the hot wind, inspires admiration among the sweaty and exhausted men. Henry, who was checking a damaged fence near the southern boundary of the property, is moved to see Eleanor serve fresh water to each hand with the same care she demonstrates in the kitchen. "Never seen anything like it," Jake comments to Henry as he drinks the iced tea. "Martha was good, but Eleanor, she anticipates our needs without us even having to ask." In that moment, under the relentless Texas sun, Henry understands that Eleanor is not just an employee. She has become an essential part of the Triple Bar Ranch's soul. The most significant change occurs on a stormy night, when strong winds and intense rain lash the ranch. Eleanor is working in the kitchen preparing a comforting lamb stew when the electricity completely fails, leaving the entire property in darkness. Without hesitation, she lights candles and kerosene lamps, continuing to prepare the meal as if nothing had happened. The hands arrive soaked and disheartened after a difficult day trying to protect the cattle from the storm, but they find the kitchen lit by a warm, golden light. The aroma of the hot stew contrasts with the damp cold seeping through the windows, creating a refuge of comfort amidst the natural chaos. Tommy, taking off his wet boots at the entrance, looks at Eleanor serving the food by candlelight and whispers to Pete, "She's turned this place into a real home." Henry, observing the scene from the kitchen door, feels a deep emotion realizing how Eleanor has brought not just culinary competence, but a sense of security and belonging that the ranch hadn't known for years. 3 months after Eleanor's arrival, Henry receives an unexpected call from Martha, his former cook, informing him that she can return to work. For a few minutes he remains silent, holding the phone while watching Eleanor through the living room window, arranging fresh herbs in the garden she herself planted behind the house. The decision he needs to make is not about culinary competence. Both are excellent cooks. It's about something deeper. Eleanor brought a tranquility and dedication that transcend the job. When he finally speaks with Martha, he gently explains that the position has been permanently filled, offering to help her find another job in the area. That evening during dinner, Henry observes the relaxed and satisfied faces of his crew. Jake tells a joke and everyone laughs, including Eleanor, who allows a genuine smile to light up her face. Pete praises the mashed potatoes and Tommy asks for a second helping of the roast beef. The rancher realizes that he didn't just hire a cook that night 3 months ago. He found the person who gave the Triple Bar Ranch its soul back. The story of Eleanor and Henry becomes a legend in the small rural community of West Texas. Neighbors and merchants from the nearby town comment on the transformation of the Triple Bar Ranch, where harmony and productivity have significantly increased since the arrival of the silent cook. Eleanor, who remains a woman of few words, has not only earned the respect of the hands but also a special place in the heart of the local community. During traditional regional festivals, she contributes dishes that become the main topic of conversation, always served with the same humility and precision that characterize her daily work. Henry, who thought he knew the value of a good crew, learned that sometimes the most important ingredient for success is not in technical skills, but in a person's ability to create unity through simple, genuine actions. On that decisive night, when he decided to hire Eleanor based on intuition more than words, Henry discovered that the deepest silences often carry the most powerful truths about human character and the value of dedicated work. 6 months after Eleanor's arrival, a severe drought hit the region, turning green pastures into yellow, parched expanses. The cattle huddled in the few available shaded areas, while Henry and his crew worked tirelessly to keep the animals hydrated and fed. Temperatures soared past 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and the ranch's main well began showing worrying signs of dropping water levels. During these challenging weeks, Eleanor completely adapted her meals to the situation. She prepared dishes requiring less water for cooking, constantly served ice-cold drinks, and organized lighter meals that wouldn't burden bodies already exhausted by the extreme heat. Jake, who worked from dawn till dusk checking on the cattle, commented to Henry how Eleanor seemed to instinctively understand the team's needs during the crisis. "She doesn't just cook," the foreman observed. "She takes care of us in a way that goes beyond food." Henry agreed, noting how Eleanor worked even more quietly during these difficult days, as if her stillness brought a necessary calm amidst the collective stress. The situation became more complicated when Tommy Rodriguez suffered severe heat stroke while working in the farthest pasture of the ranch. Pete found the young cowboy passed out near a cattle trough and quickly brought him back to the main house yelling for help. Eleanor, who was in the kitchen preparing lunch, immediately abandoned her pots and ran to assist. Without a word, she organized cold compresses, prepared a homemade rehydration solution, and coordinated care while Henry called the town doctor. For the 2 hours before the doctor's arrival, Eleanor remained by Tommy's side, monitoring his breathing and applying damp cloths to his forehead. When the doctor finally arrived and confirmed that Tommy was out of danger thanks to the initial care he received, he praised Eleanor's quick thinking and knowledge. "You probably saved his life," the doctor said. Eleanor merely nodded modestly, but Henry noticed discreet tears in her eyes, the first intense emotional sign she had shown since her arrival at the ranch. In that moment, the rancher understood that Eleanor wasn't just competent, she possessed a genuinely caring heart. The incident with Tommy marked a definitive turning point in the relationship between Eleanor and the ranch crew. The cowboys, who already respected her culinary skills, now saw her as a protective, maternal figure. Pete Sullivan, known for his roughness and distrust of strangers, began treating her with a touching gentleness, always asking if she needed help with heavy kitchen tasks. Jake organized a system where the crew took turns helping her with cleanup after meals, something she initially resisted, but eventually accepted with silent gratitude. On hotter nights, when sleeping became almost impossible, Eleanor prepared fresh lemonade and light biscuits, serving them on the porch where everyone gathered to catch any breeze that might come. These spontaneous gatherings created a sense of family the ranch had never experienced. Henry, observing these moments of camaraderie, realized that Eleanor hadn't just filled the cook's vacancy. She had transformed a group of employees into a true family, united by adversity and strengthened by the mutual care she inspired through her quiet example. When the first rains finally arrived in September, bringing relief to the parched land and hope for the cattle, Eleanor organized a special celebration. She spent 2 days preparing a full Texas feast: 12-hour smoked brisket, ribs with homemade barbecue sauce, creamy potato salad, slow-cooked beans with bacon, and a variety of homemade peach, apple, and pecan pies. The dining room table had never held so much delicious food, and the aroma emanating from the kitchen even drew in the closest neighbors, whom Henry kindly invited to join the celebration. During dinner, for the first time since her arrival, Eleanor sat at the main table alongside Henry and the crew, instead of constantly serving. When Jake proposed a toast to the woman who held us together through the toughest times, Eleanor was visibly moved. Tommy, fully recovered from his heat stroke, stood up and publicly embraced Eleanor, whispering, "Thank you for saving my life." The scene touched everyone present, and Henry realized he was witnessing not just the end of a drought, but Eleanor's complete blossoming as an integral part of the Triple Bar Ranch family. Autumn brought subtle but significant changes to the ranch. Eleanor finally began to speak more during meals, occasionally sharing stories of her childhood in New Mexico and her experiences on other ranches before arriving at Triple Bar. Her soft voice revealed a sharp intellect and a dry sense of humor that pleasantly surprised all the crew. Henry discovered she had studied rural administration before dedicating herself to cooking, and her advice on supply management and resource optimization proved extremely valuable. During the long autumn nights when work slowed down and there was time for conversation, Eleanor spoke of places she had known and people she had met, always with a compassionate and wise perspective. Pete revealed he had never had a mother present and confessed that Eleanor filled that emotional void in a natural and comforting way. Jake admitted his own wife, who lived in town, was curious to meet the special woman he talked so much about. Gradually, Eleanor transitioned from being the quiet cook to becoming the unofficial matriarch of the ranch, a position she accepted with the same discreet grace that characterized all her actions. 1 year after that decisive night when Henry hired her, Eleanor had become much more than just an employee at the Triple Bar Ranch. She was now the emotional and practical heart of an operation that prospered under her quiet but powerful influence. The ranch recorded its best financial year in a decade, with healthy cattle, motivated employees, and a regional reputation for excellence that attracted buyers from all over Texas. Henry, reflecting on his intuitive decision to hire Eleanor based on her presence rather than her words, understood that some of life's best choices are made with the heart rather than the mind. During cold winter nights, when the ranch family gathered around the fireplace after dinner, Eleanor finally found her voice, telling stories that made everyone laugh and sharing wisdom that went far beyond cooking. Tommy, now promoted to assistant foreman, always credited his second chance at life to Eleanor's care. The complete transformation from a quiet, reserved woman to a respected maternal figure proved that sometimes the most valuable people are those who demonstrate their worth through consistent actions, patience, and a genuine love for the well-being of others. During Eleanor's second winter at the ranch, an unexpected blizzard completely isolated Triple Bar from the outside world for an entire week. Roads became impassable, electricity failed again, and temperatures plummeted to dangerous levels. Eleanor, predicting the storm through signs she had learned to read in animal behavior and atmospheric changes, had prepared extra provisions and organized enough firewood to keep the house warm. During the 7 days of isolation, she transformed the situation from a potential disaster into an opportunity for even greater unity. Cooking exclusively on the wood stove, she prepared hearty stews that warmed body and soul, homemade breads that filled the house with comforting aromas, and nutritious soups that kept everyone healthy and satisfied. The crew took turns telling stories around the fireplace, playing cards, and helping Eleanor in the kitchen. Henry observed how she orchestrated everything with absolute calm, turning a potential crisis into precious memories that everyone would cherish forever. When the roads were finally cleared and normality returned, everyone agreed that week had been one of the most special of their lives on the ranch. The arrival of spring brought an unexpected surprise. Martha, the former cook, appeared at the ranch for a visit. Henry was momentarily tense, worried about potential awkwardness between the two women, but Eleanor greeted Martha with genuine and warm hospitality. During the lunch they prepared together, it was clear there was no rivalry between them, only mutual respect for competent professionals. Martha praised the improvements Eleanor had brought to the kitchen and confessed she never had the necessary patience for the transformations she observed at the ranch. "You found your perfect place here," Martha told Eleanor as they enjoyed coffee on the porch. During the conversation, Eleanor revealed details of her past for the first time. She lost her husband in an accident 3 years prior and had been traveling from ranch to ranch since then, looking for a place where she could truly start over. Martha immediately understood that Eleanor hadn't just found work at Triple Bar. She had found a new family and a renewed purpose for her life. The visit ended with Martha blessing Henry's choice and expressing gratitude for knowing that her ranch was in such competent and caring hands. Eleanor's 3rd year at the ranch marked a significant expansion of operations. Henry, confident in the harmonious environment she had created, decided to increase the herd and hire 5 more employees. Eleanor faced the challenge of integrating the new members with the same quiet wisdom she had used with the original crew. She observed each newcomer discreetly, identifying their personalities, food preferences, and emotional needs before establishing personalized strategies to include them in the ranch family. Carlos Mendoza, a young Mexican-American cowboy who spoke little English, found a patient mentor in Eleanor, who helped him with the language during meals. Sarah Thompson, the first female cowboy hired for the ranch, initially felt intimidated by the dominant male presence, but Eleanor created subtle opportunities for her to demonstrate her skills and earn respect. Through special dinners that celebrated the cultures of each employee, Eleanor transformed the ranch's growing diversity into a unifying force. Henry marveled at her natural leadership ability, realizing she had developed a human management system more effective than any business administration course could teach. During the summer of the 3rd year, Eleanor took an initiative that surprised even Henry. She proposed creating a community garden where all employees could grow vegetables and herbs to supplement the ranch's meals. The initial project faced skepticism from some more traditional cowboys who considered gardening an inappropriate activity for ranch hands. Eleanor, demonstrating her practical wisdom, explained how fresh vegetables could improve the team's health, reduce food costs, and provide a relaxing activity after exhausting days working with cattle. She organized the garden so that each person was responsible for a specific section, creating a sense of ownership and individual pride within a collective project. Tommy led the cultivation of tomatoes and peppers, Jake specialized in medicinal herbs, and even Pete developed an unexpected passion for growing giant pumpkins. The garden flourished under the team's joint care, providing not only fresh ingredients for Eleanor's meals, but also a space for meditation and renewal where employees could decompress after difficult days. Henry watched tough men working gently with seeds and seedlings, understanding that Eleanor had once again found a way to nourish not just bodies, but spirits. The 4th year brought external recognition for the Triple Bar Ranch and, indirectly, for Eleanor. The ranch received a visit from state agricultural inspectors who were impressed not only with the quality of the cattle and facilities, but especially with the high morale and exceptional productivity of the employee team. In the official report, they specifically mentioned the unique family atmosphere and humanized management as differentiating factors for the ranch. An article in the regional newspaper about Texas model farms highlighted Triple Bar as an example of how investing in employee well-being leads to sustainable business success. Eleanor, characteristically modest, deflected the praise to Henry and the entire team, but internally felt deep satisfaction for having contributed to this transformation. When representatives from other ranches began visiting to understand the secrets of Triple Bar's success, Eleanor discreetly received some of them in the kitchen, sharing practical advice on nutrition, supply management, and creating a positive work environment. Henry realized that Eleanor had, without seeking recognition, become an informal regional reference on how to create harmony and efficiency in rural operations through genuine care for people. 5 years after that memorable night when Henry decided to hire the quiet woman who appeared on his porch, the Triple Bar Ranch had transformed into much more than a successful commercial operation. It had become a model of how work, respect, and mutual care can create a genuine community. Eleanor, now 43, had developed a serene yet authoritative presence that commanded natural respect from everyone who knew her. Her transformation from a wounded and reserved woman into a confident and wise matriarch inspired not only the ranch employees, but also visitors and members of the local community. Henry, reflecting on the shared journey, recognized that his intuitive decision to trust Eleanor, based on her presence rather than her words, was one of the most accurate choices of his life. Eleanor's initial silence, which once caused distrust, proved to be a powerful force, a quietness that carried wisdom, compassion, and an extraordinary ability to nourish not just bodies, but relationships and entire communities. Eleanor's story at the Triple Bar Ranch proves that sometimes the most valuable people are those who speak through consistent actions, transforming silence into music, work into art, and strangers into family.